Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. We made it to Thursday. Yes. I have off today for some reason, so I'm very, very excited about that. Um, One of our Vibers is going through the worst nightmare you can imagine. And so I don't know if they're going to get into Discord and talk, but if you see people in Discord talking, talk to them today. Whatever. Because somebody might need someone to be available to talk 24/7. You know, and just I don't know. The only thing we can do for this person is be there if they want to talk. So get into chat today and talk light and happy. So, that it can be a space that they can get away from reality because it doesn't matter. They're living a nightmare and every few seconds they remember it's a nightmare. They're not gonna wake up from it. So let's just be there to talk whenever they're not going to use the wine away tab or talk about what's going on. They're probably going to talk about the weather. The weather. How's this weather we're having? All right. So I didn't watch this. So yesterday during our stream, we looked through a bad attorney who's getting in trouble, and we're going to watch it today. I didn't watch it. I only watched the parts you guys watched, and I did just like poke around today a little bit, sliding back and forth to see how long the break might be. But we're gonna watch this. There's one more thing we're gonna play today that I did not watch. Yes, it's Fozzie and he's out of beer. Yes, that is a nightmare. Listen, calm down, Micah. Let's not choose violence today. Lightfoot is here. Hi, Lightfoot. We missed you. No, why would you hope for that? I don't understand. No's fine. Look at you go. Yeah, like you're like trained for this kind of crap. You got this. Don't worry, guys. CJ got it. He's gonna be available 24/7. Actually, since she is trained in mental health, she should be available to us 24/7. We all need it. Every single one of us needs it. Okay. I call appointments with CJ daily from 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys can fight over the rest of her schedule, but that's mine. That'll be my schedule for her. Maybe she can put me right. Maybe she can put me back together again. I doubt it. Nobody can put me back together again. All right, let's go here. So, Georgia, we're in Georgia. Where's Raven? Raven, we're in Georgia. And he's representing himself. I do know that. Here we go.
And you may proceed, Mr. Linden.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a pre-hearing conference pursuant to MCR 9.115 sub F4C, being convened virtually via Zoom video conferencing before the Tri-County Hearing Panel number 66 of the Michigan Attorney Discipline Board in the matter of grievance administrator versus Michael J. Zayed, P number P5.
Okay. Apparently, it is not Georgia. So, what does GA mean? This is Michigan. What do you think GA means? I don't know. I don't even know.
3518, case number 2483JC, and 2484GA. This panel is comprised of myself, Jeffrey B. Linden, chairperson, Robert J. Curtis, member, and Jahan G. Crump Gimson, member. The panel has been appointed by the Attorney Discipline Board, the adjudicative arm of the Michigan Supreme Court, for the discharge of its constitutional responsibility to supervise and discipline Michigan attorneys. Counsel for the grievance administrator is Kenneth E. Frazee, F-R-A-Z-E-E, who will present the case for the Attorney Grievance Commission, the separate branch of the Michigan Supreme Court for the investigation and prosecution of discipline matters. We will now proceed with the pre-hearing conference. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Appearances, please.
Thank you. Kenneth Frazee on behalf of the Attorney Grievance Commission.
Thank you. Mr. Zayed?
Mike Zayed on behalf of myself.
Jethro with the win. Coming in and saving us all. Grand Arbor, GA.
Thank you. So today's the pre-hearing conference. At this point, Mr. Zayed, the grievance administrator has filed a default and a notice of default.
And then it crashes. It's the grievance administrator versus Zayed.
And we haven't received a responsive pleading to the formal complaint or anything prior to your appearance here today. So what, I guess, is your intention with regard to the proceeding?
I'm just attending. I was sent a notice by Ms. Groh this morning. I've spoken with Mr. Frazee in the past. I mean, I haven't practiced law in 25 years. Throughout that time, I maintained, bar dues and everything. I've worked in the tech field for the last 25 years in a non-legal capacity. I haven't had any clients. I don't have any clients. And a couple of years ago, I decided to stop paying dues. Then I got I had a drunk driving conviction, which I think is what started this whole process. And I mean, I haven't contested anything. I'm not sure really what the point of all of this is. I've made my intentions clear. I don't practice law for a profession. I don't intend to anytime in the near future. So I guess that's about all I have to share.
Okay.
So this hearing is over an hour long, but we do have a break. They do take a break in here somewhere. So it's not going to be an hour long, I don't think. Right here, they're on break, I think. So it sounds to me like it's an open and shut case. I don't understand why there's a whole hearing.
Okay. Procedurally, the fact of the default basically precludes you from being able to participate substantively in the misconduct or liability phase of the proceedings, and which means you couldn't contest that you committed misconduct in any of the ways alleged in the formal complaint. There is a mechanism for you to be able to do that if you think that the position of the grievance administrator that they're taking is in any way not in agreement with you. To do that, you would have to move the panel to set aside the default before we could entertain any substantive arguments. Your option is to, I guess, request time to do that and do that, or tell us that you're not going to do that, or request time to consider doing that. I'll give Mr. Frazee an opportunity to comment on that as well. But if you'd like to do that or proceed, the issue is that whether you're practicing or not, if you're an admitted member of the bar, you're subject to oversight by the bar, including potential sanctions for misconduct.
So he had a DUI. I think if an attorney gets a DUI, they have to pay like all kinds of fines.
I'm not so sure that paying dues and then not paying dues takes you out of the box. That's an interesting question. If you haven't practiced, the issue becomes what to do about it at that point. But at this point, you can't address those issues substantively. You would be allowed to address the issues of sanctions, penalties, discipline at the second phase of the matter and within the rules and the guidelines. But if you want to address anything else, you would have to procedurally get the default result.
Well, I don't contest any of the allegations in the complaint. As I said, I've spoken with Mr. Frazee in the past, and I thought I was pretty clear about that. I mean, I'm obviously responsible for the drunk driving conviction. I pled guilty at my arraignment. I've accepted responsibility. There's really nothing more to say about it. So if that's all you need is for me to state that I'm not going to contest any of the allegations, they're true. So I'm not contesting them. So I guess what's the next step? We move to phase 2 and penalties.
Yes. Mr. Frazee, do you wish to address the panel on that issue?
I think, Mr. Chairperson, you've laid it out very clearly, and I thank Mr. Zayed for being very clear in his response as well. We did speak in the past on a prior matter. He does admit as true all the allegations in our formal complaint. So, Mr. Chairperson and fellow panel members, you may adopt his admissions to those allegations and accept them as true. Mr. Zayed would like to move forward to the next sanctioning phase. I'm in agreement with that as well if the hearing panels would like to proceed. Alternatively, he is in default and you could move forward as a default in this matter. He's acknowledged the complaint verbally, and we've also established our requirements under the rules, and it separate from that. Nonetheless, I don't think Mr. Zayed or I disagree on the facts. It's just a matter of what, if anything, is appropriate, and then what Mr. Zayed may wish to do or not do in the future after a period of suspension may be imposed. I will say that he is currently under suspension for ADB case numbers 2483 JC and 2484 GA, which are the same. Excuse me, that's the current case. The prior one was 2441 JC and 2442 GA. So this hearing is required due to his status, but ultimately you'll decide what, if any, sanction would be imposed at the next phase.
Okay. Why don't we break out and have the panel, we'll discuss a couple of matters and then we'll be back with you.
One moment.
Is this their break? Is this when they're taking a break? Because I'm just gonna fast forward it a bit till we get to someone's actually talking. Court reporter's awake. Everybody be quiet. Let him go back to sleep.
You all ready?
All set.
Thank you. We're back on the record.
We're back on the record. This pretty much seems like an open and shut case. He's going to get disbarred and then pay whatever fines they give him. I have a suggestion. No one's going to freak out here on this video. No one's going to. They're all just lawyers. Let's bump it forward to the end and see if we can't see what kind of sanctions he gets real quick. And then let's move on. I have the whole docket of Judge Reese, Michael, the whole docket of Judge Reese that I didn't look through yet to see. Oh no. Okay, we're good. Are we good though? I'm just checking to see if I froze. I think I'm good now. Oh, we live in 2024 and this is the internet we get. Okay. So, what do you guys want to do? I don't know if you heard me because I don't know if I froze. This looks like it's going to be just straight lawyer talk for another hour. We could fast forward it to the end and just get to the sanctions. And then I have the whole docket of Judge Reese, of Judge Longhorn. We can just go there and play around in there for a bit. Would that be better? You guys decide. I'll press play. You guys decide for a minute what you want to do. All right, we're fast forwarding to the end. There.
When it comes to considering suspensions and readmission, in addition to what I've outlined, that there's a dramatic difference between 179 days and under and 180 days and more in terms of the process for reentry. I know there's also another requirement at some point, which may require reexamination, the bar examination. Are you familiar with at what point
Yes,
if suspension triggers that?
I believe it's 3 years. The maximum you can give any respondent is 5 years or alternatively disbarment. But I believe anything less than 3 years falls within currently the 180-day to 3-year window.
That's aggregate, or is that a single?
No, that's per instance. These aren't, to my knowledge, your discipline would not be consecutive to the last 180 days imposed by the other hearing panel. It would be
That's how I got tennis elbow. Now I know. Now I know. Beer drinking gives you tennis elbow, children. Remember that. If actually, you know what? If you just leave the beer here, you won't get tennis elbow. So you open the beer and leave it right here. And it's quicker. That's how I'm going to drink from now on.
current. Now, granted, so if you gave him, say, 10 months or a year, that would be not consecutive to the
No.
prior 180. They'd run
Oh,
together
no.
based upon their effective dates.
Okay.
Well,
That's a good
I mean,
question, though.
I'm not so sure that we're prohibited from making them consecutive.
I don't know if you are either, but I just know, unless it's otherwise noted, that they would be concurrent. But you do have the ability, it's within a range of outcomes,
Right.
either by the number you choose or by the wording you use. So I'm sure everyone would appreciate, and it sounds like you're going to make that clear, whatever your decision is, whether it's to be concurrent or consecutive.
Can you clarify that a reexamination would be required for a suspension? Did you say of 3 years or longer, but not for a year? Is that accurate?
There is, I don't have it in front of me, but
Yes.
it's published in the rules of professional conduct and the admission and the state bar and discipline. There is a period of time. So if you are suspended for 179 days or less, your readmission to the practice to be reinstated requires a self-conforming affidavit that you've complied with the conditions of your suspension and the rules of the bar. If you are
That makes so much sense. Okay. Remember the last guy we had for disbarment, which he was probably definitely disbarred. I just checked and there was nothing on his case so far. But he had been in front of the grievance council like 5 times before that hearing. So when an attorney goes in front of the grievance council and is found guilty, they're not disbarred. They're just suspended, suspended, suspended. So that's why that guy keeps getting disciplined, because they just suspend him for a while and then he comes back.
Are suspended for 180 days or more, there are additional requirements. You need to submit an application for readmission. You have to have a hearing before a different attorney discipline board panel. And you
Doesn't
have to
care.
establish a multi-factor test, for lack of a better word. And the standard of proof is clear and convincing evidence
Yes.
to be
the guy with the
readmitted.
long hair, it looked like Jesus.
In addition to that, at a certain point of suspension, and Mr. Frazee has recollected it's 3 years, and I'm not sure that's similar to what I recall, but we'd have to verify. Readmission after a 3-year suspension would require you to retake the bar examination and go through the moral character evaluation as if you're applying to the bar new. And then if there's that's for a suspension of 3 years or longer. In Michigan, there is no disbarment per se, or revocation. It is a revocation, but it's effective for 5 years. And after the 5 years, you are permitted to reapply. Conventional wisdom is that the reapplication process can be exceedingly difficult if that were to be the case. That's sort of the framework that the system applies. Mr. Zayed, do you have anything else to add?
No, thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Frazee?
No, thank you, sir.
Okay. My co-panelists, any further questions or comments?
No. Thanks.
No.
Gentlemen, thank you. We will close the hearing at this point and the record, and the panel will deliberate and issue an opinion and report in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Jody,
Appreciate it.
can we go to a panel room, please?
We're not going to no panel room. Now we know. The guy who doesn't want to be a lawyer is going to be suspended. That really sucks that that wasn't better. But, you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. Normally it's really good and I get really wild cases. That one, not so much. I also saw this today, guys. Let me just, this is it. This is it. So I don't know if you guys remember. I haven't seen him in a while. Stream. Judge Kim was on today. And I mean, this case is okay. This case is not actually that bad. But remember how great Judge Kim used to be? I don't know. He's just a judge in this one. It's the case that's interesting, not Judge Kim. But remember how great he used to be with the juvenile cases? You know what? Let's just watch this one. This one's not that bad. And then I don't know why she just reminds me of Taylor Swift the whole time. He whistles in the house. This, yeah, the blue, I think that's her bed, although he thinks that's her sofa. It looks like a headrest to me and not a sofa.
Okay, so we're now broadcasting
Judge
these
Kim.
proceedings,
Hi, Judge Kim.
since we're conducting these proceedings on Zoom as required by Texas statute, the Office of Court Administration and the Supreme Court of Texas. All right, so this is in cause number 113873. Gerard Coleman on a hearing under 54.11 of Texas Family Code, for this court to determine whether this person is transferred to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to complete the remainder of their sentence, or to be or released into the community under supervision or the TDC parole. The court will take judicial notice of the court's file and all of its contents. Specifically, on May 14th of 2021, this court found the respondent, Gerard Coleman, delinquent for the felony offenses of aggravated assault of deadly weapon on 2 counts. In a separate and distinct hearing, this court found a need for rehabilitation and committed the child to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department for a period of 10 years. Subsequently, this court received notice from the Texas Juvenile Justice Department requesting a hearing.
Absolutely nothing has happened yet. I'm watching it. Nothing has happened yet, but he's going to get disbarred.
To determine whether this person should be transferred to TDC or paroled into the community.
And I don't know, but I think this is the mother. And we're going to hear more about the mother in a bit. Actually, this woman right here is going to go to town on this woman right here. Very politely.
Community. We are now here for that hearing. Mr. Coleman, I want to explain what's going on. The law states that when you have not paroled from the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, that you, if by request from TJJD, you are entitled to a hearing before me. I'm the sentencing court to determine whether you should be paroled or not. This is a hearing simply about whether, in my discretion, I feel it is more appropriate for you to be paroled or for you to be transferred to TDC to complete the remainder of your 10-year sentence. You do have certain rights at this hearing. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. You have the right to cross-examine and confront adverse witnesses. You have the right to present evidence and argument, and you have the right through your attorney to examine any report.
I stand by what I said. She goes to town on her very politely.
That will be used at this hearing. Now, there are different factors I must consider at this hearing. I must consider the experiences and character of you before and after commitment to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. I must consider the nature of the penal offense that you were found to have committed and the manner in which the offense was committed. I must consider the abilities of you to contribute to society. I must consider the protection of the victim of the offense or any member of the victim's family. I must consider the recommendations of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, County Juvenile Board, local juvenile probation department, and the prosecuting attorney. I must also consider the best interests of you and any other factor relevant to the issue to be decided.
No, Fuzzy's not going to serve her a drink. Let me tell you how hard it is to hand over a beer to someone else when you really want that beer for yourself. I do it all night. I hold this beer in my hand all night long and I carry it across the room. And I'm looking at this beer thinking, man, that beer looks really good. I really want it. And sometimes it's worse. Sometimes I have a beer in one hand and like wings or a pizza in the other, and I'm freaking hungry. And I'm walking this stuff over to the table. I'm like, oh man, I would blank this up right now. I have to give it to someone else. Sometimes I have to give it to people I don't even like, and I have to smile while I do it. Fozzie, for your safety, do not become a server. It's not that great.
At the conclusion of this hearing, I may order your return to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department or transfer to the custody of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for the completion of your sentence.
All the time.
If I do return you to the custody of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, I may return you with approval for release under supervision or without approval for the release under supervision. If I do not make a determination before your 19th birthday, you will be returned to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department for release under supervision. Because you are over 17 years old, if I do order you returned to TJJD and you are not in custody anywhere, I may order you detained in the adult jail of Tarrant County, and the Tarrant County Sheriff shall take custody of you under the court's order. There is no agreement in this matter, Mr. Coleman, so you do have a right to appeal. I will explain that right further to you in writing later and provide a written copy of the admonishments to your attorney to provide to you. Mr. Coleman, do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Any matters before we start?
No, Judge.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Opening statements,
I waive, Judge.
Ms. Herrick.
I'll waive, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Sorrells, your first witness.
I would call Tammy Coy.
Ms. Coy, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give at this cause currently at trial, you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sorrells, please proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Coy, can you please advise the court, where do you work?
The Texas Juvenile Justice Department.
And what is your job title and some of your duties?
I am the TJJD/TDCJ liaison, and I oversee the Sentenced Offender Department. And we process sentenced offender youth from our agency out to either TJJD parole, TDCJ parole, return to court for required hearings at 19, or return to court for early transfer hearings.
And as part of your duties, do you create what's called or compile what's called a master file?
Yes, for the court.
Okay. And did you have a master file compiled for the court in reference to Gerard Coleman?
Yes,
Okay. And you provided that to the court and the parties, correct?
I believe my staff did, yes.
And is Mr. Coleman currently on the Zoom hearing that you're able to see?
Yes.
Could you please identify an article of clothing that he's wearing and what the moniker or name is on the Zoom window that he's got?
He is in an orange and white striped uniform, and it says I Gunter.
Judge, I ask that the record reflect this witness has identified the respondent.
So reflect.
And Judge, at this time, I would like to offer Petitioner's Exhibit 1, which is a CD that contains the master file, and 1A for the record only, which is the sleeve. I provided that to the court, and I previously tendered that to defense counsel for inspection.
No
Objections to 1 or 1A?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so 1 and 1A are admitted.
Ms. Coy, does TJJD make a recommendation to the court as to if a child should be paroled or transferred to the Texas Department of Corrections?
Yes.
Sorry, I think I said the title wrong. What's the adult prison system that?
Well, it's the Correctional Institutions Division of TDCJ.
And TJJD makes a recommendation as to Mr. Coleman, correct?
Yes.
What is that recommendation?
I doubt it.
TJJD is recommending that Gerard be transferred to the Correctional Institutions Division of TDCJ.
And the basis for that recommendation would be contained in that master file.
Okay, so this is a kid who got locked up as a kid and now he's turning into an adult. And they're like, well, we can't keep him in juvie anymore. He's not a juvenile. So they're wondering what to do with him. And they're recommending that he goes to the DOC.
That the court's been provided, correct?
Yes.
I pass the witness, Judge.
Cross-examination. Ms. Herrick, I think you're on mute.
Thank you.
I don't know why you would pay for a dance because I dance constantly, all the time, no matter what song is on. You don't have to pay for it. I'm always, always, always dancing. Just come in and buy a beer. Hi, I hunt you. He's putting eye drops in the middle of court, and he's the judge. if someone else would do that, he would be very upset.
Ms. Coy, when was the recommendation made? And when was the file completed and the recommendation made that he be transferred to the Correctional Institutional Division?
The file was made and submitted on August 1st of 2014, or of 2024, sorry. And the original request for transfer, let me see, was made June 18th of 2024.
At that time, was it known to TJJD that Mr. Coleman had some outstanding charges pending,
Yes.
specifically federal charges and some county charges?
Correct.
At the time the recommendation was made, was it known what or if the punishment would be on those federal and county charges?
No, it was not.
Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Redirect?
Nothing further, Judge.
So just to clarify, Ms. Coy, the original offense was Mr. Coleman was, I guess, him and some others had set up a drug deal and then ended up shooting the dealers. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you know how many people were injured?
I know for sure there were, I believe, at least 2.
And this occurred outside of gentleman's club. Is that correct?
Yes.
And according to your report, he fired indiscriminately into a crowd.
Yes.
And that's why he's in prison. He went to a strip club, got mad, and just started shooting everywhere as a child, when he was a child.
And then subsequently, TJJD paroled him. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And how did he do on parole?
He was out on parole. He appeared to be following rules, working. And then it came to light that he was arrested. And
But crying on demand is one of our best talents as a woman. It's how we get what we want. You're gonna have to have a conversation, have your eye drops in your back pocket, and then it's like sneeze. You're gonna have to figure it out. You're gonna have to get real good at it.
and had received adult deferred adjudication for an offense, and then he was revoked for failure to report an offense to his parole officer and an arrest.
I'm sorry, when you say failure to report, you mean failed to show up to his parole officer or failed to report the offense?
Failed to report that he was arrested to his parole officer, which is a requirement of his parole.
What happened to his parole at that point?
It was revoked, and he was to be sent back for an extension of his stay with us.
So I do have a question. So this type of offense, the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, that's a 2-year minimum period of confinement, correct?
Yes.
So what happens? So obviously he finished the 2 years, then he was paroled, and his parole was revoked. I've always been curious, does that mean he starts a new MPC, minimum period of confinement, or is he just revoked and then y'all would parole him again if it was appropriate? Is there a minimum period of time or just simply what TJJD feels is more appropriate?
So there are minimums, and they're assigned based on what the actual revocation offense is. They're 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, depending on what the offense is. He received a 3-month.
Bill, when I see Judge Kim, I stop what I'm doing. I don't know why. I love Judge Kim. It's because you want what you can't have. Judge Kim was great, so great. And he used to post like every day. And then all of a sudden, boom, he shut down his stream. And we couldn't have any more Judge Kim. So when I saw Judge Kim streamed, I stopped what I was doing. I got Judge Kim. Now, this woman is almost done, guys. She's almost done. And then this woman comes up next. I'm telling you, she destroys this woman right here in a nice way.
Minimum length of stay based on his revocation.
And what was the offenses that he was arrested for?
Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey everyone, listen. All 49 of you. All 49 of you, listen, we got the best freaking news today. I'm serious. In a week where there's just been zero good news at all, we got the best freaking news today. Bill, American Courts is finally monetized again. YouTube has broken his chains, and now he's free. He's free to be monetized again. What did he do wrong? We don't know. Will he get demonetized again? Again, we don't know. I haven't been demonetized again yet. Although I did report Bill right away. As soon as I found out he was monetized, I reported him. But it's okay, Bill. You'll be fine. Don't worry. 6 months later, man, we almost could have had a baby in that time. We could have had a baby in that time if we used a little illegal drugs. But it's so great. Bill, congratulations. I know how stressful that was. I just know. I know what you went through. And you're finally on the other side. Sort of. Sort of. It takes a while to actually get paid for YouTube. So he won't see money until almost January for what happens now. But, once January hits, then he'll be all better. All right. Now we're getting ready. We're getting ready.
He was arrested for assault family violence, which we did not know about, and received adult deferred probation for that assault, and that was in February. And then he was arrested April 17th, I believe, for the federal offense.
What was that offense?
That was the theft and possession of a USPS mail key.
So simple theft?
No, it's theft in the possession of the key. It's a federal offense for the stealing of the mail key, arrow key, whatever. I'm not sure what that is, but.
Because I was reading a report and I felt like there was an armed robbery of a postal carrier. Am I missing something?
That's what I'm discussing. Yes, that's what I've.
Okay, so that also did involve a firearm.
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Who robs a postman with a gun? Who does that? Why would you do that? It's all bills and junk mail.
And did we confirm, I know in your report you said the family violence was on his pregnant girlfriend. Was that confirmed that she was pregnant? Or is that just kind of in the report that you
She's
received?
pregnant.
That was in the report that I received.
But what was Gerard's highest stage level while at TJJD?
He earned stage yes.
And is that before he was paroled or after his parole was revoked? How high did he get back up? Or did he ever come back to TJJD?
He never came back. He's been in federal custody this entire time.
So how many months of his original 10-year sentence has he completed?
He has completed a total of 45 months of his 10-year sentence.
But for him to be paroled, he completed the capital and violent offender program. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So all the programs that TJJD normally has for an aggravated assault deadly weapon, all the assessments that you did as far as substance abuse, anger management, all behavioral problems, he already completed all those successfully. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then
And
even though
more,
he was
way more.
paroled, he was then subsequently arrested for the armed robbery of a postal carrier.
Correct.
So typically what does TJJ do when a youth completes all the programs, is paroled, and is re-referred on another violent offense? Like, how do y'all decide what treatment a child would need? I know Mr. Coleman never had the opportunity, but I'm just curious, what would TJJD do in those situations?
So generally what happens is a youth would be returned to the facility. They would be reviewed by treatment to see if there were what treatment programs would be available, but just simply based on the revocation of their parole, we would also require a request a hearing to transfer over to TDCJ based on the parole revocation.
Okay, so typically, and not
So typically, if you're still a minor and you break your parole, They send you back to juvie, and then they request a hearing to see what else is going to happen with him. So he is no longer a minor, or he's about to be no longer a minor, and he broke his parole.
I know every situation is different, but typically if this type of situation where it's an aggravated assault with a deadly or multiple counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and then a new adult offense,
It sort of did, Donald. It sort of worked brilliantly until you'll see.
involving a weapon, y'all would just, I mean, TJJ's kind of stance on this one is you would just refer for an early transfer of parole hearing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's the questions I had for Ms. Coy, but traditionally I open it back up. Mr. Sorrells, if you had follow-up questions that I may have triggered anything.
I have no follow-up questions, Judge.
Ms. Herrick, I want to give you the opportunity as well.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Coy, in your review of Mr. Coleman's file, would you agree that during the time that he was at TJJD, when he was away from family, and during the time when he was on parole, he typically does well when he is not, I guess, living with or staying with or in the custody of his mother, but he keeps going back to her, and that's when he has problems again?
I can't say that one way or another.
I was very specific yesterday when I said she does not have permission to take today off. I said no. I don't know where she is. I don't know who she thinks she is. I'm gonna pay her half of what I paid her last month this month if she doesn't get on in the next 30 minutes.
can tell you that he did not have a lot of incidents while he was in our facility. But I mean, his behavior is ultimately his behavior.
And I don't disagree with you. I'm just, trying to connect the dots, right? Now, when his parole was revoked and he was ordered back to TJJD, his minimum length of stay, you said, was 3 months. Is it true that was ordered in May of 2024, meaning his minimum length of stay would have expired in August of 2024?
Yes.
I'll pass witness.
So Ms. Herrick actually had a good question that made me think. So when he was he paroled to his mother's home?
I believe he was.
Ms. Coy, I'm gonna ask you to stop for a second. This is one of the frustrations with Zoom. Mrs. Simpson, you are in court right now. Please don't lay on the couch. If you want to participate, I'm happy that you're here, but your face needs to be on camera. This is still court. You still need to show respect for the court. Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Coy,
Kim.
you were saying.
Was checking. I believe he was released to his mother.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Sorrells?
Nothing further, Judge.
Ms. Herrick, any last questions?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Sorrells, your next witness.
At this time, Judge, the state rests.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Herrick, your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll call Pia Letterman.
Here we go.
Ms. Letterman? Good morning still. If you could raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this cause currently trial, you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Herrick, please proceed.
Yes, Ms. Letterman, did you represent Mr. Coleman for the federal charges that he had?
I did. I was appointed to represent him. I can tell you the exact date. April 19th.
Of 2024?
I'm sorry, 2024.
You represented him consistently since then, correct?
That is correct. Okay, in federal court, he still is my client till one of us says otherwise.
Is it true that he pled true to the federal court charges?
So we didn't plead true, but we did accept responsibility and not go to trial on the federal charges.
Thank you for correcting my language. And so he accepted responsibility and then was set for sentencing hearing, correct?
That is correct.
And did you represent him at that sentencing hearing?
I did.
And do you have that case number for the record?
I do. His federal court case number is 4:CR-CR-00149-P-1.
Do you have some documents here with you that pertain to his federal sentencing?
I do. I have, I created defense exhibit number 1, which is his entire docket, the judgment and sentence of the court, as well as the, I could not include for you the statement of reasons, but I did include the judgment and sentence, as well as his terms of supervised release.
And I can't remember who just said this, but it also includes all the docket entries, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 1 and provided to the state, and also a copy has been provided to the court. We move to admit that exhibit at this time.
Charles, any objections?
No objection, Judge.
All right, the document titled Defendants 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Before the sentencing hearing, were any documents or was anything prepared?
Yes, in federal court, before a sentencing, there is what's called it's called a sentencing report, a PSR, a pre-sentence report. So we have to sit down and we get interviewed with client as well as the federal probation officer, and they prepare a federal pre-sentence investigation report, which is submitted to the court for the court's consideration at sentencing.
There's probably a lot of information that you learned about Mr. Coleman from that process. Would you agree?
There is a lot of information prepared in the pre-sentence report.
Okay. To kind of skip back to a question that we just asked Ms. Coy, is it your understanding through all the history and all the information that you've learned about Mr. Coleman that when he is either, in custody, but also even when he was on parole, but not living with or in the custody of his mother, that he does remarkably well and is able to follow the rules? But on the other hand, when he is in the custody of his mother, he's repeatedly had trouble.
All right, now watch her face. They're about to start bashing the heck out of her, and watch her face. This is her son in jail right now.
That is correct. And I spoke to Mr. Coleman multiple times. I reviewed his entire juvenile file. I think we received almost 3,000 pages between juvenile and the TJJD files and the pre-sentence report. There's no offense to mom, but at 11, 12, 13, 14, it's nothing but mom failing to engage in services and Mr. Coleman getting kicked out of juvenile services because mom refuses to show up to detention hearings. Mom won't show up for meetings with probation. Mom won't take him to counseling or therapy or classes. I did notice also in his file, he was sent to placement and he did extremely well in placement. He was released from placement early and we rewarded him by sending him back to mom, which just once again, mom was reason to believe for neglectful supervision. Mom was reason to believe for abuse and neglect. And we sent him at the age of 13 back to mom. Then we see again in his entire juvenile file, mom not engaging in services and mom not being with him. He went back to juvenile where again, nothing occurred until ultimately he ended up at TJJD. And I believe in the TJJD file, I also saw mom failing to engage in services. And I don't think mom ever visited him or engaged in any therapy or counseling. So when he gets out, he does well for a while. But then again, we're neglected by mom and left to our own devices.
That's certainly, I'm sure, something that was emphasized.
She didn't even budge, guys. They just said all of that about her treatment of her son in court, and she barely blinked. She did fix her hair a little bit, so we know that means she's guilty. Fozzie found something for us all. This is so cool. This is so awesome. Guys, that's Linus. That's where she is right now. This she just passed Ireland. And now she's, over the pond. It- I don't know. I am geographically stupid, but it feels like she should be going like this way, and she's going this way. But hey, what do I know? Maybe that's right. I'm sure it's right. Fozzie, um, so see how tiny this plane is and how big this plane is? And do they actually show small aircraft on here too? Or is it based on how many people are in the plane or their altitude? I'm guessing this is just like a small aircraft, and this is a, commercial plane, or is it just altitude? Because look at all this, guys. They're gonna have to have altitude. Yet you said yes, but I gave you three options. Is that a small aircraft? Is that based on how many people are in the plane, or is it altitude? I can't because I'm not on this site. I'm on a picture that you sent me of a site. Because look, okay, see right here, they all have to be flying at completely different altitudes or they would be in trouble. How the heck do you manage that? Now, look, I'm not stupid. I know the plane is not that big compared to like the earth below it. Okay, so there she is. I can't wait till she gets here. Linus, I hope that you see this, A, because I told you you can't have off today, and B, that you are taking pictures and videos and are going to talk to us. All right. Back to this juvie who has issues whenever he's with mom. Oh, I don't think he's a juvie anymore.
At his federal sentencing hearing, what did the federal court also take into account Mr. Coleman's juvenile history and everything that he has?
He did. So the federal guidelines have amended and they have a specific section for juvenile offenders. Judge Pittman summarily rejected that and said he did not agree with the sentencing guidelines or with the youthful offender guidelines. Judge Pittman did state on the record that he was taking into consideration Mr. Coleman's entire juvenile history at sentencing and dismissed the sentencing guidelines amendment, which went into effect Monday.
Tell the court what the sentence ended up being on his federal cases.
Sure, and if I can refer the court to the document exhibit number 1, and if you look at docket entry 61, it's the synopsis of the sentence. Not only did he reject our juvenile and our history, he then sentenced him to 60 months on count 1 and 91 months on count 2, and he ran those concurrent. So Mr. Coleman will have to do 151 months in the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
You said concurrent, but you meant consecutive.
I'm sorry, consecutive.
So his 2 federal sentences are to run consecutive, correct?
That is correct.
Do you know how the Bureau of Prisons will take into account any sentence that Mr. Coleman's given in this case for the TJJD time?
By statute, and I can point you to the statute, I just don't have it with me. Judge Pittman specifically ordered that the sentences would run consecutive to any state or local charges. So because he's in the BOP, well, if he was writted to state court for any time, he would not be getting credit on his federal sentence.
Do you know if this court is bound by a similar rule?
No, like Judge Pittman, this court is not bound by another court's order. This court can do whatever it decides with concurrent or consecutive.
So this court could order any sentence that's imposed today to run concurrent with the federal.
That is correct.
Sentence. Okay. Is Mr. Coleman currently in the custody of the Bureau of Prisons?
He's not on writ.
Why is that relevant?
Again, because he's not on a writ, then he is getting federal credit for this time. However, then it's up to Judge Kim to decide if he would also be getting state credit or just stay on probation.
In the federal sentencing hearing, was the safety of the community taken into consideration by Judge Pittman?
It was, if you look at the
I
judgment and
loved
sentence, and
He was
I
so good.
was not able to provide a statement of reasons because that was sealed. But the judgment of Judge Pittman under the federal guidelines 3223A, it does consider safety of the community, safety of the client as well. So those were considered and they are in the statement of reasons.
And those were specifically considered, right? Not just generally, like the judge indicated that he specifically took those things into consideration.
Correct. Under 3223A, like any sentence, it has to be an individual sentence per person.
Does the federal prison have parole as a possibility?
Yep, federal court does not do parole.
Does that mean that he will complete the entire 151 months that he was sentenced to?
He may be eligible up to the Bureau of Prisons if he's receiving any good conduct time off of that, but there's no parole.
Okay, maybe. And I'm saying maybe because this kid did a lot of work while he was locked up that no one asked him to do. So he's done extremely well. And then he picks up more charges because he's with his mom. But this kid shot into a crowd for not trying to shoot anyone in particular. He just shot into a crowd at a strip club.
Did you review Mr. Coleman's United States probation sentencing report?
Hi,
We
Michael.
did, and I reviewed those with Mr. Coleman as well.
Okay, and did that indicate that the protection of the victims was also taken into consideration by Judge Pittman?
There was, as part of the sentencing, and probation sends out letters, just like juvenile does. We did not, we received one letter that was rejected by the court because it was a vague check marks. We didn't have a name. We don't know who it went to. And they just said, you know, my retirement has been affected, but they didn't really give us, we didn't even have a name or anything. So we all pretty much ignored it. We received no other documents from any alleged victim. We received nothing.
Terry, that's why I'm showing it. It's recent. It's not today. It was 7 hours ago. Does that seem right? This says 7 hours ago, but I feel like I got this yesterday, so maybe this is just frozen from yesterday. Isn't that amazing that he's streaming again? I mean, he's not like in this video, he's not his normal awesomeness. He's very, laid back in this video. But I was just so excited that Judge Kim is on again.
Nothing.
So in addition to the federal charges that we're discussing, there also was the state charges that he had here in Tarrant County that were pending, correct?
That is correct.
He was arrested for a couple of misdemeanors, assault on a family member, violation of a protective order, and interference with emergency call. Is that your understanding?
That is correct.
And then he was also arrested for an unlawful use of a motor vehicle. Is that your understanding?
That is correct.
Is it your understanding that the unlawful use of a motor vehicle was dismissed?
That is correct.
And so he only had or has misdemeanor state charges pending?
That is correct. And I actually spoke to girlfriend about the car and about the violation of the protective order. And so like most of our cases, they were back together, not realizing the protective order was still in place. And I did speak to Mr. Coleman at length about it as well.
And so is it your understanding that the alleged victim of the assault on a family member is still Mr. Coleman's girlfriend? They're
That is
still together?
Correct. And she did appear at sentencing as well.
She is pregnant now, or maybe just recently had her baby. Is that true?
That is my understanding. Yes.
Is it your understanding that she was or was not pregnant at the time of the alleged assault on a family member?
I'm not good at math. And I promise this court not to lie, so I don't know.
Fair enough. Did the federal court take into account these pending state charges as well?
They did. Judge Pittman specifically referenced them again in line 61 of the docketing sentence. He ordered that they all run consecutive to his federal case. They are also mentioned in the pre-sentence investigation report, which was prepared by probation, and they were taken into consideration in the sentencing guidelines.
How do the guidelines work?
So in federal court, you have a guideline where you get credit for your criminal history as well as your criminal offense. And because of those federal charges, Mr. Coleman did get points on his criminal history, which is what led to the higher offense, because we got criminal history points. They were just mentioned, and then we also got status points for them. So all of his juvenile history, and most of his juvenile history, and then his adult history got him criminal history points.
So you're saying his
What are status points?
So, excuse me, Judge, sorry. So under the federal guidelines, which again, I'm so sorry, Judge, I did not bring my guidelines book. Actually, it's in my briefcase. If you would go grab my briefcase. So you get points for your criminal history. Sometimes they're 3 points, sometimes they're 2 points, sometimes they're 1 point. And that is your criminal history points. So it's a graph. So the x-axis is your criminal history points. He did get points for the term that he was on TJJD for. That was a 3 point on his criminal history. We got 1 point each for the misdemeanors. He had 5 points. And now in federal court, if you have more than 7 criminal history points, it's better for clients now. You get another point just for being that high on your criminal history. But he did not get the last point because I believe our criminal history, he did get the criminal history points, and we ended up with 5 criminal history points. 2 for the juvenile, 1 for the assault, and then 1 for the violation protective order. So with a 4 points, he ended up a level 3. And so what that means is on any offense level, we automatically go out 3 columns on our for punishment.
So it's just a matrix type of situation.
Right? And so his matrix so the highest is a level 6. Because of those 2 other cases, those pending charges, he became a criminal history category 3 with 4 points. So it really affected the guidelines quite a bit.
So are you saying, I'm sorry.
It's clear as mud. I mean, I can, if you want to admit things of it. It's a tricky matrix, yes. So you go criminal history points this way, and then offense up and down this way. And then where the 2 meet is where your guidelines are.
She continues to tell her what to say and what to ask. It's so funny. Even after she's done, she's still gonna help her.
The table, yes.
Ms. Herrick, please continue.
Thank you, Judge. So, long story short, are you saying that Mr. Coleman's federal sentence was already made higher because of his juvenile and state criminal history?
Quite a bit higher, yes.
Okay. Now we just heard Ms. Coy testify, and I am probably going to get this number wrong, but is it your recollection that she just testified that Mr. Coleman has around 45 months of credit at TJJD?
That is correct.
Okay. Which would mean that he would have 75 months left. Is that right? Math?
If my math is correct, yes, 75 months.
Is that less than the 151 months that he was ordered to do in the federal prison?
Quite a bit less, yes.
Okay. Does Mr. Coleman have services that he will be required to complete once he's released from federal prison?
Yes, as part of the sentencing paperwork we submitted, the last page talks about supervised release, and he has 4 pages of supervised release conditions.
What are some of those conditions?
He's got to report no new offenses.
Slow down, please.
I'm sorry, he has to report within 72 hours, work full-time. He has to not commit any new offenses. He cannot consume any illegal narcotics. He cannot consume alcohol. And with some of the requests that we asked for, or that he be provided treatment for mental health treatment, as well as drug and alcohol, just in case he needs those.
Mama
And we did
treat.
ask that he go to a licensed therapist, and that's just some of his conditions.
And so that sounds a lot like what we know parole to be like. What is supervised release?
Again, in federal court, we don't do parole, but we do quote unquote supervised release, which it's a lot like parole. If you violate, you end up back in the Bureau of Prisons, much like parole revocation. And the same, if you don't complete the conditions, you go back to the Bureau of Prisons for violating your supervised release.
If he were to violate the conditions of his supervised release, how long could he have to go back to the federal prison?
I haven't calculated his supervised release, but it could be anywhere for up to 3 years. Depending on the violation.
Okay. Now, you have been representing Mr. Coleman, of course, while he was awaiting the federal sentencing, and during that time, was he held at the Johnson County Jail?
He was.
Okay. Did Mr. Coleman take advantage of some opportunities to complete some classes and programs while he's been in the Johnson County Jail?
He did, quite a few.
What classes and programs has he completed?
He did a 1-hour anger minute. And again, all these classes are on the computer because they don't actually have services in Johnson County. He did a parenting class. He did anger management. He started his CDL. He started his welding certificate. I want to say there was almost 8 or 9 certificates that are on my phone, but I can't get them to print. But he had
I told you she looks like Taylor Swift the whole time. She looks like T Swizzle.
done quite a bit.
And he did those of his own accord, is that correct?
That's correct. He and I had not talked about that, and I wasn't even aware that Johnson County had those on their tablet.
What is Mr. Coleman's plan for his life once he is eventually released from custody?
We did that also as part of the sentencing and the presentation we gave to Judge Pittman. We've spent a lot of hours together. He is going to do a lot of therapy, a lot of counseling, even when he's released. He wants to do CDL and always, so he can work for himself. He can be a truck driver. He can get into welding. The Bureau of Prisons has several programs. So that way, when he is released, he can have employment, immediate employment, and he won't have to then go to a class or go to counseling. He can be immediately employed as an electrician, a welder with his CDL. Our main goal was not to go back to mom or that neighborhood. He would then be old enough to be out on his own and not rely on mom for services or for anything else.
Is it your opinion that his goals are reasonable and achievable?
Absolutely.
Bruce is trying to eat dinner, guys, so we should all start texting him a whole bunch of questions that he has to type back.
And with good support, he's always done really well.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Sorrells?
Mom is barely awake. Mom's like, who's that? I don't know him.
Sorry, I have no questions for this witness, Judge.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Herrick, your next witness?
Your Honor, will rest.
Okay. Mr. Sorrells, rebuttal.
Rest and close, Judge.
So closing arguments.
Judge, I would ask that the court follow the recommendation of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department in transferring him to institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I believe Ms. Letterman actually said it quite well when she said that Judge Pittman of the federal court took into account the safety of the community and the protection of the victims when he decided and determined that it would be appropriate for this respondent to have consecutive sentences, and not only consecutive sentences for the 2 counts that he had in the federal system, but Judge Pittman also definitively puts in his order that it would be subject to your sentence also, and the federal sentences would be consecutive to it. I believe he has a lot of the information that this court also has, and he has made that determination. I just ask that this court adopt that same mentality and transfer the respondent to the adult prison system and issue a writ in order for his sentences to be consecutive, as the federal judge has indicated in his order. Although this court is not bound by it, as Ms. Letterman did say, this court does get to make its own determination as to consecutive versus concurrent. I am urging the court that consecutive would be appropriate. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Herrick?
Yes, Your Honor. The recommendation of TJJD that Mr. Coleman be transferred to the institutional division of the Texas Criminal Justice Department was made prior to his federal sentencing, meaning they made that recommendation without knowing that he would be sentenced to 151 months in the federal prison. Judge Pittman did take into account this case as well as any other pending unresolved matters that Mr. Coleman has. It's mandatory that the Bureau of Prisons not run concurrent with state sentences, so that's by law. And this court has the discretion whether to run the sentences consecutive or concurrent. If his sentence here runs concurrent with the federal sentence, he will be at minimum 29 years old when he's released from the Bureau of Prisons. That is certainly old enough for him to be able to live on his own and maintain his independence and stay away from the negative influences of his family. As we noted, he has a reasonable and achievable plan for his future when he's released. He has already taken steps that were required of him by no one to get certified in different.
There's a delay when you see me on camera to when you see something that I've typed. So when you see something that I've typed, I think on camera you notice it like minutes afterwards, if that makes sense.
Vocational skills. He's making steps to obtain his commercial driver's license. He's taken a parenting class knowing he has a baby on the way, taken an anger management class. Again, those were not ordered by anyone. He did those because he wanted to. Mr. Coleman, he accepts responsibility for how he has gotten to where he is now, and he's been sentenced for that accordingly by the federal prison. We ask that this court not transfer him to the institutional division, but if this court is inclined to transfer him to the institutional division, we ask that this court run his sentence there concurrently with his federal sentence. Thank you.
I have a question, and I guess I have a question in math. So he has a 151-month federal sentence. That I calculate that to be about 12 and a half years. He's 19 now. That sentence just started October 30th. So what am I missing?
He has some credit. Oh,
No.
just kidding.
He will only get federal
Ms.
credit.
Lederman, I can't let you. Sorry.
He'll get
But
federal
you're
credit.
welcome. You're welcome to advise Ms. Herrick.
Bren, hello. I took typing in night school at the public school when I was in high
19, so he
school.
might be older, 31.
It appears that
My math
the
is wrong.
respondent's counsel is not
Math.
proficient in math. He'll be about 30 or 31.
So it's about 2.5 year sentence.
Yep.
He has some credit in, but he's probably looking around 31 at this point. Is that correct?
Judge, sorry.
Okay, all right. No, I want to clarify. So I interrupted you. If you want to go back to you were talking about the classes.
No, I finished my argument, Judge.
So this court having considered all the competent evidence, this court having considered the experiences and character of the person before and after commitment to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, having considered the nature of the penal offense that the person was found to have committed and the manner in which the offense was committed, having considered the abilities of the person to contribute to society, having considered the protection of the victim of the offense or any member of the victim's family, having considered the recommendations of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, County Juvenile Board, local juvenile probation department, and prosecuting attorney, having considered the best interests of the person, and finally, having considered any other factor relevant to the issue to be decided.
Lawyers don't do math very well. They just don't.
Will return the person to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. Return the person to the custody of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department without approval for release of the person under supervision. Mr. Coleman, I am transferring you to TDC to complete the remainder of your sentence. However, I am going to run this concurrent with your federal sentence. Mr. Coleman, I'm breaking this up into two different categories. I look at the original offense where you at 15 years old, you were inside a gentleman's club and there was a conflict and you fired indiscriminately to the crowd, hitting two people, right? That was the offense that you were originally sent to TJJD for. I also look at you while you're on parole, that now you are convicted for an armed robbery with a firearm or a gunpoint robbery of a postal worker for the master key, right? Now you have that issue with the federal courts, with Judge Pittman. I highly respect Judge Pittman, and I agree with him a remarkable amount of the time. However, in my discretion, I do try and keep juvenile matters separate from adult matters. I do not feel like an extra 3.5 years in the state prison after you finish your federal sentence will do anything to protect our community more. It would simply be punishment. As a society in the state of Texas, we do not punish juveniles for their juvenile behavior. We rehabilitate them. So if I'm taking the punishment equation out, and my concept or my guiding light right now is simply protecting our community, I do believe after you finish your 12-year sentence with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, that I hopefully are mature enough at that point to learn from your mistakes and no longer be a threat to our community. So I do believe the 12-year sentence is appropriate to protect our community. All right, so
True. Why is he mad?
at the end of this, in the conclusion, I do order you remanded or remain in the custody of the Federal Bureau of Prisons for you to complete your sentence there. They will be transporting you shortly for wherever they decide to place you. Now, because there was no agreement, you do have a right to appeal. I do have a document here. You will have a yellow copy. Your attorney does have a duty of mailing that to you at your last known address, but that explains that right to your writing. If you choose to appeal my decision, you may do so by filing a notice of appeal with the Second Court of Appeals located in Fort Worth, Texas. Ms. Herrick, you do have a duty to prosecute that appeal if you so desires. He probably does not want to appeal my decision today. All right. So, but anyways, you do have that right. Anything further for this hearing, Mr. Sorrells?
No, Judge.
Ms. Herrick?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that shall be the order of the court. Mr. Coleman, I hope you learn from your poor decisions and make better decisions in the future. I wish you the best of luck. Ms. Coy, thank you for being here. All right. All right, that concludes this hearing. Thank you.
So he got concurrent from this judge. So whatever happened here, it means absolutely nothing because he's got consecutive cases from federal that he has to go through. But it's good that he has concurrent here because then it won't add on to anything more that he's dealing with for robbing a postman at gunpoint. I wonder if and when he gets out, when he is 30 years old, if he's going back to mom. Because he's been locked up since he's 15. It's not like he has a life set up for him. And where is he going to go? They have those, programs where they help them halfway house into his own place, but they have so many rules. And he had just done all that time in prison that when he gets out, he's not going to want rules. I would not want rules. I don't know why you would rob a postman. I don't know. So when he gets out, he's going back to mom. He's definitely going back to mom. And every time he goes back to mom, he picks up more charges. Every time he doesn't go back to mom, he does great. He takes classes. He wants to be a welder. He wants to get his CDL. And, you know, yeah, that's two completely different jobs. He needs to focus on one. But none of us knew what we were going to do at his age. When you were 18, no, you did a bunch of stuff. I got my state inspection license so I could work on cars. I started college for child psychology. None of that is what I ended up doing, you know? So I don't know. I don't know. I was just so happy that Judge Kim was on again. Thank you, Judge Kim. All right, Maiko. I hope this plays. There might be a tiny issue with this video, so let's just see if it plays. Hell yeah. Oh, wait, that's not him. Hold on.
of Texas Family Code,
I
where this court to
think.
determine whether
Oh, no, I think it's on my other computer.
Monday, I was supposed to be meeting with those gentlemen.
That looks interesting, but that's the end of a trial. I have a whole trial. I just have to piece it together. Same, same. That's the other part of the trial. That's another trial. I always try to get this judge because of his bow tie, but he just does a lot of trials and not crazy stuff.
Silence
And
or
that's
stand.
Australia. Oh, nope, don't. Whoo, I almost played that. It has music in it. So I would have been, yeah, last night I got a big red mark on my YouTube account because something I did last night was a copyright issue.
Identified the defendant subject to cross-examination.
Oh, guys, I screwed up. I do not have it on this computer. So here's what we can do. Listen, I was not in the mood to go through a lot of court videos today. I got off work and like all the wind just out of me, and then it just got worse and worse. The night just got worse and worse. So I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with court videos because they get really, really, really sad. And it was already too much for me. So we're winging it today. Let's go to Connecticut. I've got parole hearings. Sometimes they're really boring. Sometimes they're really great. So I don't know what we're gonna get with this one because I didn't have time to look. Well, I did have time. I just decided to just chill out instead. Here we go. It's Connecticut though. We never ever get to see Connecticut except for here, the blankety blank 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 case, Connecticut.
Today, I will be replacing board member Sergio Rodriguez, who
no,
was
no.
originally on the docket for today.
Hold on, we're not gonna listen to this beginning part. It's boring. We're gonna wait till we have someone. Oh no. Don't tell me we don't have the actual person here. You gotta be kidding me. So we got a lawyer that's about to be disbarred. Boring. We got Judge Kim, who is absolutely amazing. He is a great judge. And he was a bit, I mean, her slamming the mother, that was pretty good. But the rest of it, and now we have a parole hearing with no freaking parolees. It is just really not a good day. Not a good streaming day for me. No, no. And now I lost my StreamYard. Now I need to think on my feet real quick and get you guys something for 30 minutes. There's always one person I go back to when I need a little bit of content. Hi. Please, please yell at someone today. Please, Judge. I'm begging you. I'm dying here. All right. He's coming. She is always standing. She is always, always, always standing. She was standing that whole time, that whole 5 minutes that I fast forwarded until the judge comes in. And then she has
Degree and
tiny
hearing the
desk.
forfeiture
Oh, that's not mute.
specification. Your Honor accepted the plea in order that the defendant undergo evaluations, specifically PSR, as well as drug and alcohol evaluations. The state has read the report. We're ready to proceed to sentencing. There is no agreement as to sentencing, Your Honor. The state adds that there looks like to have been 17 days of time served, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, Your Honor. We are asking for community control from Mr. Waller with whatever conditions the court would deem appropriate. Upon his testing positive for marijuana, Mr. Waller's bond was revoked. The court was gracious enough to reinstate his bond. Mr. Waller indicates that he has refrained from using his medical marijuana since his release from jail in adherence with the court's order. He would ask that the court consider permitting him to use his medical marijuana while on community control, if that is what the court elects to do. He does have a chronic pain condition centered in his joints. There is a name for this condition, although he is unable to recall it at the moment, and that is the reason.
Arthritis.
Prescribed for medical marijuana.
All right, Mr. Waller, what do you want to tell me?
Well,
I watched Grey's Anatomy, so I know that it's arthritis because I watched it.
I would like to say that, no, I apologize for being here in your court. It's really not anything that I usually be into or do. But I just ask, I take full responsibility. I ask that you see more into me than what you hear on paper today. And as far as the crime, like I said, I take full responsibility. It's quite about it.
How did you end up having that on you?
Well, it's a whole thing where my son,
Hi,
his name
Irish.
is Eric Beck, he broke into a car and my daughter told me that he had a lot of money on him. So when I brought him in the house, I checked him. He had Mexican money on him and a folded up bill. I retrieved it. I got into his butt and put it in my wallet, and it just been there. I haven't thought about it ever since I put it into my wallet. I was supposed to discard it, but never did because of the Mexican money. I was going to keep it. So it was just there, to be honest. I never used coke, never sold coke, never anything like that.
Where do you work?
I work at Cardinal Group.
And what do you do?
I rehab houses, basically, college dorms.
How long you been doing that?
For about I was part-time, now I'm full-time, like 3-4 years.
All right, so this place is out of Toledo?
Yes, sir.
So how did you get working for them?
Yes, Fozzie, please do.
How'd you get that job?
I applied and got it.
So when you say you rehab places, what do you do?
I go into houses and like it's a college dorm facility, so whatever they need done in their house as far as lights, um, you know, drains, cleaning out drains from patching up walls, whatever they need done. I have a worksheet, a work order that come through, and I tackle the work order. Whatever it can
Managing.
be, from range to, like I say, patching up holes to pulling up carpet. It's a lot of range of things that I do.
All right, so how does your physical condition, how does it affect what you do?
My physical,
Yeah, Mr. Matthews was saying you have this chronic joint pain. So how does that affect your ability to work?
I mean, my joints lock up a lot. So
From what? Do you don't know what the name of that is?
I can't recall the name. Something chronicle joint pains.
Have you been to a doctor for that?
Yes.
Which doctor?
A witch doctor.
Or how long ago?
John Cochran? John Collins?
When's the last time you went to him?
Maybe like
John Cochran's a doctor now?
6 months ago.
All right. What's the story with your driver's license?
Ooh. Driving license, I just have a lot of fines I have to pay off.
Okay, when you gonna do that? You gotta get a license.
Yeah.
Okay, so who do you owe money to?
A couple different companies.
Okay. When are you gonna take care of this?
As far as my license,
Uh-huh.
like I say, I got a lot of stipulations to go
It doesn't show. It doesn't show on my screen. But man, you look so pretty blue.
along with that, like child support,
Well,
back payment of child support.
You're
It's a
paying,
lot.
you're paying it right now, right? Aren't you paying like 300 a month or something?
Yes, but
Okay.
I'm also in the rear back payment. So I have to pay a certain amount of money to even establish my license from the
Okay.
courts.
Yes, John.
All right, so listen. I'm not a big marijuana guy. Okay? So when people tell me they have, anybody, I mean, I could go in my office, I can call up some doctor somewhere, tell them I have trouble sleeping at night, and I can get a medical marijuana card. Okay, anybody can get one for anything, okay?
Understandable.
Now, I have let people use it on occasion if they have some physical issue where they don't want to take an opiate. Okay?
Mhm.
But I gotta see, I gotta have something documented that says, here's what you got, and here's what this will do. So I'm not gonna let you use it right now, but if you get something to your probation officer about your condition that convinces me that it would be beneficial for your medical condition, then that's when I'll take a look at it. You understand that?
Understandable.
Mr. Devanche?
Excuse me. Thank you, Your Honor. This is admittedly sort of a closed case. We would simply point out the defendant does have several serious felonies in his past, including ag rob and burglary. He did do prison time on one of those charges. Apparently has a couple of open warrants for failure to appear, and not always compliant with jail during his jail stint here. But rather than offer a recommendation, Your Honor, beyond that, we would simply trust the discretion of the court. Thank you.
You'll be fine, John. Do not worry. We will take care of you when you get home.
All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report and the drug and alcohol evaluation. Considered what Mr. Waller has had to say, what counsel has had to say. Considered all the applicable statutes. I'm going to place you on community control for 3 years. You're going to serve 17 days in jail with credit for the 17 you served. At this point, no drugs or alcohol with screens, full employment. Get a valid driver's license. So
I don't know.
with regard to
Sometimes
this
he's a pain in
license,
my.
where do you live, in Willoughby?
Yeah.
Who's he going to have, Kim? Okay. I want you to find out what you have to do in order to get your license valid.
Yes, it means you have to be nice to her. You have to be very, very nice to her because she's become sick with power from Judge Fleischer. So I heard from people who actually no. What happens is when someone gets timed out or something in Fleischer's courtroom, everybody, they just all blame Allie for some reason. It's not always Allie, it's me. It's Nan. It's definitely Maiko. It's Linus. But everybody just blames Allie. And I agree with this. I'm happy with this. Yeah. So if anything happens, even though Allie's not even a moderator here, we're just going to blame Allie here too. Nan, do whatever you want. We're just going to blame Allie.
So you need to call down to BMV and find out exactly what you have to do. And I want you to, by the next time, the first time you go to see Miss Warren, I want you to be able to
It's
tell her
definitely
exactly
me
what you gotta
sometimes.
do
Definitely.
in order to get your
Oh,
license.
yes.
If you need help with something, then she'll help you do it. But you gotta get the license. You can't.
Do you know why it's Allie that they think it's Allie? Because Allie is vocal. So when someone does something wrong, even if she doesn't time them out or remove their comment, she puts her little thing up. You know, this is a court chat, keep it clean, blah 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 blah. The rest of us, we just yeet 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 timeout, yeet 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 timeout.
You can't be out there driving without your license. It's just going to get you into more of a deeper hole. Because you get caught driving, you'll get another suspension, you get another reinstatement fee, and you keep burying yourself. So there's ways to do this without having to come up with a lump sum of money. So figure out what you got to do. Tell her what you got to do. Figure out how you're going to do it and get the license. And you're going to pay the costs and supervision fees. Kim, anything else?
Judge, do you want me to write anything about?
Okay, hold on. This one's boring, of course. Of course, we hit a boring one.
Just
Let's try again.
You let Miss Warren know that when you go to see her, okay? About
All right,
this
please,
marijuana
Judge.
card.
Okay,
Kim,
he's
if you-
standing up.
If you remember.
That's good
mention
news
it
for us.
to Kaylee also.
That means this might be pretty good. Oh, sugar, he's
questions?
reading a letter.
No question.
Okay. So
Don't worry, it always goes black for a second before it starts. I don't know why, it just does. Your screen is fine, but please feel free to comment me later and ask me if there's a problem with the video.
By 3. And
I went to
17
mute it and I pressed pause.
Thereafter, you understand the charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Watson?
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. I've discussed this matter with my client. He is prepared today to waive the final hearing and enter a plea of guilty to the violation, Your Honor.
Is that what you want to do?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's your plea to that charge?
Guilty.
I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. So what's the story?
Your Honor, if I may, my client wrote a letter. Is that okay if he reads it to the court?
Dear Judge O'Donnell, I'm taking full accountability of my actions. I messed up and I'm asking for another chance. For staying with a person I used to be friends with, She kicked me out. We got into an argument about a car. After all that had happened, she had made up a lie and was telling me and my family police were looking for me, and that I was going to jail. So I panicked and I was scared. So I didn't go see my probation officer because I didn't want to go back to jail. I was under a lot of stress. I started to use again. I made a mistake, and this won't ever happen again. Because being in jail got me thinking about a lot of stuff I need to change about myself. I want to do better for myself. I should have reached out to the public defender's office and reported to my probation officer because it was other ways to go handle the situation, and I went about it the wrong way. I'm hoping you'll give me another chance to make a difference in my life so I can do what's right. I don't want to keep letting my family down by sitting in jail, jail cell. I just want to be able to go back to work and see my family again.
How long you been sitting in jail?
84 days.
No. We're reporting Bill's channel today, Vicky. We're reporting Bill's channel because he just got monetized again. Yay, Bill. Everybody needs to go at least play his videos in the background today so he gets a whole lot of hours in today. Whole lot of hours, because when there's ads, the longer you watch, the more chance there's ads, and then he gets paid by that. So hours is what he needs.
So what was your original charge here?
Aggravated robbery.
And then I put you on probation, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You don't have a lot of wiggle room here, right?
No.
I mean, that's pretty extremely serious charge. Are you 19 now or 18 still?
19.
Where are you working?
KFC.
Yeah, that's my fault.
What were you-
American Courts. This is American Courts. PayPal me. This guy right here. This guy. Hold on. I got something even better so you know who he is. Tangled up in blue. There. But we call him Bill. Drone footage. And then we have another link. I'm looking. This is our lovely, super actually sexy Vicky. Yep. Don't forget Vicky, who is struggling herself with YouTube right now.
What are you doing there?
Cooking.
How long had you been there?
Since I got out of jail in May.
What is it you want to do with your life?
I'm reporting you for reporting
Trying to
me.
join a trade or
I'm
join a
reporting
union,
Bill because
right?
you
Become like
reported
a
me.
laborer.
What kind of labor, do you know?
No, I'm still looking up in that information.
It is super fun in chat too. Yes. They bully Bill.
Seen your brother Ernest?
No.
When you were, you said you started using, what were you using?
Marijuana.
Did he test positive after he got picked up?
Yes, there was an addendum, probation violation affidavit of positive screen.
Okay. And is that right, 84 days, Megan?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's the NeoCap weight? Do you know?
60 days or until that is available.
All right, Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. My client knows that this court already gave him a big break on a very serious charge that most people would have gone to prison for. He got a big break and he wasn't out on probation very long on that break when he failed to report. So I know that his most recent history here is not very positive with this court. And I know for a lot of other people, most courts, maybe even this court, would say, I've already given you your chance and send him to prison. But Your Honor, Mr. Fuller is a young man who still has his whole life ahead of him. And as he admitted, and as I told the court in chambers, he thought this charge was coming down and he flipped out and he just stopped reporting. And again, that's not an excuse. That's what he did. Yes, he was smoking marijuana. Again, shouldn't have done that. But Your Honor, he also during this time was employed at KFC right down the street. So, and he's informed me that if the court were to consider keeping him on community
No,
control,
John.
that he actually has the ability to go back there. So he has a job waiting for him. Now, previously, he was living with this woman who my client mentioned. If the court will consider keeping him on community control, I've spoken to my client. He's apparently allowed back to live with his parents. His parents live in Euclid, Ohio. So just down the street, he'd be able to go to work at KFC. And Your Honor, I think if this court, due to his age, gives him one more opportunity and puts whatever restrictions the court wants on top of that, I think Mr. Fuller is going to show this court that he can do what needs to be done. In the alternative, Judge, I know we've talked about NeoCap, and maybe that's what he needs to set him straight. But I'm imploring the court to please consider the fact that he's extremely remorseful, that he's admitting that he made a stupid decision, and due to his age, to continue him on community control in some form or fashion. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Judge, don't let me down, please. You got 8 minutes to be spectacular.
You said that you made a mistake. And Bill said you made a stupid mistake. And that doesn't excuse anything. I mean, you got to quit making mistakes because your margin for error is 0 based on your conviction. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You got to, the worst thing in the world you did was not show up. Okay. If you thought there was going to be some charge on you, then you should have called your probation officer and said, here's what happened. I want to let you know what happened and go from there. Because you weren't, how did you get picked up? How did you get arrested on this case?
I was at my girlfriend's house.
Okay.
Came and got me early in the morning.
All right, so it was only a matter of time, right?
Right.
You're at her house, you're working at KFC. I mean, it wasn't going to go on forever. Did you think it was going to go on forever?
No.
So you got the key to not making stupid decisions is to think about what you're doing, when you're doing it, before you do it. Did you ever get your mental health evaluation?
I was on the wait list.
For where?
Signature Health.
Okay. How long?
That's how I live my life, Donald. I just blend into the background. No one even knows when I'm in a room.
How long were you on the wait list?
Probably about a month. I haven't heard back from them. Called up there, they told me I was still on the list.
Okay, maybe you should try another agency because they're notorious for not getting people in with any urgency.
I used to work at Roy Rogers, which was another chicken place. And my boyfriend also worked at Red Rogers. And by the end of the day, I mean, everything we touched, everything we owned just smelled like chicken all the time. So we were used to it and we were fine. I don't even know what that means, tabbed out, but if I know how to tab you out, I'm gonna do it again. You being timed? Were you timed out? Did someone Nan, Nan, did you time out Fozzie? I mean, I want to. My hand is always ready, but I can't actually do it. But if my son walks in here, I'm tapped out. Tapped out of what? Alt tab. Okay, but what does that have to do with me? You press Alt tab on on your keyboard, and you think that I'm in trouble for that? You're drinking tab.
You're pretty urgent.
Practice on Fozzie, Nan.
Did you complete that decision points?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to keep you on community control for the same period of time. You're going to serve 144 days with credit for 84. As soon as the spot's available at NeoCap, you're going to go there and complete that program and follow the recommendations. And whenever that spot becomes available, the rest of these days will be suspended. No drugs or alcohol with screens, full employment, valid license. Get the mental health evaluation, follow those recommendations, and pay the costs and supervision fees. Anything else, Ms. Wehagen?
I didn't hear if the defendant pled guilty to both violations.
We'll just go with the one.
Okay.
Okay, and I didn't even know about the addendum, so we'll just dismiss the addendum, okay? Do you understand all the terms, Mr. Fuller?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any questions about any of them?
No, Your Honor.
Now, did you do the jail treatment program initially?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, how was that?
It's fine. Learned a lot.
Okay. Well, when you go to NeoCap, you're going to either learn a lot, and you'll learn a lot if you pay attention. Okay, or you'll learn nothing if you don't pay attention. I mean, there's people that rave about going there and completing it, and there's people that hated it because they didn't want to do anything. Okay, if you want to do something, then utilize this program so that when you get out and you're faced with a decision you have to make, it's a good decision instead of a stupid decision. I mean,
It was
that
when I
simple.
was 17.
And you know the drill. If you don't comply, then you'll be back here with a violation, and you've got a big risk on this thing with a lot of prison time potentially. And it could be as much as 8 to 12 years. Understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Watson?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks a lot, O'Donnell. That just sums up this whole stream. Close but no cigar. I'm gonna make a new thumbnail for this screen that says close but no cigar today. Listen, every day can't be perfect. Sometimes streams just be like this. But it's better than just like tossing and turning in bed, right? Right? Isn't it? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe this stream was just not. Maybe I should take it down. Just delete the whole stream, and then no one can prove that I actually did this live stream this badly. Well, it's been a rough couple days, guys. It's been a rough couple days. So we're done. Obviously, we didn't have Judge Fleischer today because Judge Fleischer didn't stream today. Now, I could have and should have, and I was thinking about it, just played old Judge Fleischer. I got plenty to play. But I thought, no, I thought I had Judge Longhorn. I thought the attorney being disbarred would be better. I thought I had paroles. I thought the parole would be better. I thought Judge O'Donnell would be better. I thought Judge Kim would be amazing because he's always amazing. And that's just not what happened. None of it happened. But that's fine. I'm now, guys, remember, I'm not streaming tomorrow. And there's a better than not chance that I'm not streaming Saturday. So we might get 2 days off from me. Might I suggest you go back and watch the Dumpster Fire Llama case if you get bored, because it's really funny. Uh, Who didn't stream? Fozzie, who's he? Was it Bill? Bill, did you not stream? Hold on, I'm looking. Hello. Oh, Hawaii Breeze didn't stream? Yeah, you get what you get and don't throw a fit. Don't get your panties in a bunch. We're just doing court videos here. Everything I posted tonight was a court video. Oh yeah, Judge Fleischer. Yeah. I don't know why he didn't stream, but I didn't really look into it. I just found out he wasn't streaming, fell right back to sleep because I did not want to be awake today. No, no, no. He might have streamed. I might have gotten it wrong. He probably streamed. Hold on it. He most likely streamed. Yes, yeah, it's there. You just got to go look at it. It's there. It's there. It's there. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have asked. I have to remember I can't say words. As it starts all kinds of stuff when I say words wrong. Hey, hey, she better, because she didn't show up today. I told her she can't have today off. I'm off. I'm off. I got some stuff I gotta do tonight. I got some stuff I gotta do. I won't have time to get a stream together for tomorrow. I just won't. And so Saturday I work a double, and I don't know if I'll have time to stream and sleep. And I will need to sleep at some point because I work a double on Sunday too. So yeah, yeah, I wore orange today because she was supposed to be here. You get 2 days off. I couldn't. I tried, but I couldn't. I was there 3 weeks ago. Who can pay for 2 plane tickets in 3 weeks? No one. I'm not acting. There's no acting involved. Okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to say any of this, and I don't know if it's true. And this is how rumors get started. So I don't know if this is true, but apparently there's this movement, and I don't know if it's in North Korea or South Korea. It's in one of them, and I don't know which one. Okay. But there's this movement called B4 or B5. Has anybody heard about this? Now, I didn't research it. I don't know if it's true. This is just stuff that I heard at the bar from other people talking about. So people are drunk at bars and they say a lot of stuff. And I don't even know. I know that none of it is true. But this one was interesting. Very interesting. So there's supposedly this movement called B4 B5. Um where the women it's big. It's a big, big movement where the women are done dating men. They're like, they do not bring anything to the table at all. We are done dating men. And a large population are not dating men at all. And they're part of this movement. Hold on, I'm gonna see if it's true. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna pretend it is because I like it. And now there's there's not enough babies being born, so the government is now paying them to have babies. You have to get in a relationship. You have to have babies. They're like, nah, I don't think I'm gonna do that. Is it true? Has anybody heard anything about what I just said, or are these just people talking out their ass in a bar? John, enough with the illegals all the time. Enough, enough, just enough. So it's probably wait. Donald says it's true, but I don't even know if he means that. Disappointing. Are you kidding me? I think it's great. I know 7 people in this chat right here that are ready to join. I would think it's South Korea too, but I don't know. I don't know if any of it's true, but sign me up, baby. Sign me up. I'm gonna research this more today if I feel like it. I don't know. I got a lot to do today. Isn't it a fantastic idea? Because really, I mean, I'm trying to think about any single one relationship I've been in where I didn't have to take care of them like they were a freaking child too. You're my fourth child. I always said it, my fourth child. So why? Why do we do that? Why do we date people who hit us? Why do we date someone who hits us and then be like, oh no, he didn't really mean it. He didn't mean that. He was just mad. Yeah, he's mad. Okay. He can be mad and single. Unfortunately, this just wasn't around in 28 years ago. Mel, if you get divorced now, you're in trouble. You're going to have to be more creative when you start dating again. Yeah, no more dating. Done. There's no reason to. It's just not fun. It's not okay. There is a huge difference. Huge. That's why if it's north, that's freaking exciting. That would be super exciting. If it's south, they're good. They're getting there. They're getting there. They're getting there. Nope, Fozzie, there's nothing a man can bring to the table. Nothing. And don't say money because I don't give a blanket. Is that what it is? The 4B? I mean, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to sign my name on that one. We'll make it worldwide. Yep. See, I know. I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch of women in this chat right now that would be like, where do I put my name on this? How do I make this bigger? All right, it's South Korea. That makes a lot of sense. I was wishing it was North Korea, but it's South Korea. Oh no, honey, I want to marry you. I will marry you. I will date right now. Oh man, and live in France and have baguettes and red wine. Yeah, see, I know it. I told you it's right in this chat. Okay, there are men and women who are both single in this chat, but yeah, I'm trying to think of a situation where I would date again. I'm trying to think of what someone could bring to the table for me. I don't know. I just don't know. See? Fozzie, you just made my point. Everybody in here is single. Holy crap, not you, CJ. You know what, Christine, that doesn't stop him. Not your husband, though. I don't even know what any of that means. Of course you're wanted. Oh, Terry, you did it right. I mean, I'm glad I have my children. So that was good. but the trauma isn't good. You go, Chaos. That's awesome. I mean it. I mean it from the bottom. That's awesome. I think Bill is very, very happily married. I don't think so, Fozzie. I think it was something else. But that's because I was married 19 years. Yes, that you got a point there, but not really. I mean, you don't really have to be dating someone for the last one. BJ. But that's good though. I mean, that's good. Yeah. Props to everyone happily married and stays there. That's props, but it's just not for me. All right. I don't know how we got over to this. That was a leap. We went from Judge O'Donnell sentencing that poor guy. I don't think so. They're all the same. They all do the same thing. I'm I don't know. I don't give a crap about money. So that wouldn't be helpful for me. Yep, same. Yep. Thank you for your service. Thank you. All right. Everybody sign up with Carolyn. She's ready. She's ready to help us put ourselves back together again. But I don't think it's gonna work. I think we're happy just the way we are. Oh, drunken. All right, guys. I'm gonna put my outro on. Hopefully that's normal. Hopefully that's not as disappointing as everything else has been tonight. Except for the chat. See, without this chat, I'm sorry. I can call her anything I want. I can't help it. I'm gonna start calling her Missy. I call Lisi, but she is Lisi to me. Since she first came in chat, she has never been Lizette. In my mind, she is Lisi. Thanks, Drunken. Yeah, the chat is always epic. We don't even need court videos. We just need the chat. All right, I'm going to put my outro on and get out of here. Behave. I don't want no one to go to jail except for Linus in the next couple days. And that's because I told her she couldn't have off today. Bye, guys.
Got these lights that goes digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted, sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Freedom tales waiting to the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes hear sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. With extreme, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted, sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom, eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm.